Hello, everybody. What's going on? Hey, hey, hey. How are you all doing? Hopefully, um, can you all hear me? Let me know if you can hear me. Give me 1 second. All right. Can y'all hear me? Let me know. Let me know in the comments if you can hear me. My camera has been acting crazy. I'm not sure what's going on with my camera, but hopefully it stays on for the duration of this live stream. All right. Let me know if you all can hear me. Let me look at the comments. Let's see. Let me just play this to make sure y'all can hear me. Okay, cool. So it seems like I'm good. My camera may be acting crazy. Hopefully it's cool. It's been cutting on and off lately, so I'm not sure what that is about. But nevertheless, I wanted to come to you all today and have a conversation. And this is not necessarily like a tactical conversation, but it's more so like a general topic, right? I was talking to one of my family members today, and we were talking about wanting a better life, right? And I think that when we talk about wanting a better life, there's a lot of parts and key components that come into wanting a better life. And oftentimes, when we want a better life, we typically say we want a better life, but we're not really conscious of what it takes to have a better life. And oftentimes, when we talk about having a better life, we have not defined what a better life is. Does that make sense? Just put yes in the chat. All right. So let me introduce myself and then we're going to get into today's content. My name is Audria Richmond. I'm a marketing and launch strategist. I work directly with my clients to teach them how to build uncloned brands and launch profitable marketing campaigns. We are the brand you come to when you want to become the obvious choice of your industry. All right. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, oftentimes when people say they want a better life, I don't think that we spend the time defining better life. Okay. Like when you say I want a better life, it's so vague. And so you have to spend time asking yourself, what is a better life? And sometimes if your life is in shambles, sometimes you can't even define it because you're in a chokehold with just the day-to-day living of life. Does that make sense, everybody? Like sometimes you could be in a chokehold just from your everyday living of life. And so I know for me, when I first wanted a better life, if you will, the indication for me that I wanted a better life was I was tired of being broke. And sometimes you all may or may not know what that looks like. You may not be able to define it, but some of us, we know what that looks like to not have a better life. Does that make sense? Like you know you want a better life. You may not be able to define a better life, but you sure in the hell know what a life you don't want looks like. Just put yes in the chat if that makes sense. All right. Just put yes in the chat if that makes sense. Okay, great. So, Audria, what are you saying? I'm saying you have to have indicators in your life that lets you know that the life you currently have is not a life that you desire. And typically it is loud and sometimes it's subtle. Some of us could be very complacent in life and we don't even know we're not living our dream life because our life has become like Groundhog Day. We get up, we do it all over again. We get up, we do it all over again. We get up, we do it all over again. And so I just want you all to know that when we talk about like having a better life, it's more than just saying it, right? It's more than just saying that I want to make more money. I want to have, better clients. I want to be able to travel more. I want to be able to do et cetera, fill in the blank. All of those things are cool and dandy. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to define it. Otherwise, you cannot create a path for how you're going to get out of that. I hope that makes sense, right? So for me, back in the day, an indication for me that I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live was I was broke. I can't think of no other indication of my life sucks other than being broke. If you have a better example, then by all means, it means something to you. But for me, when I decided to make a change, because sometimes life ain't that bad for you yet. For some of you all, life is actually very comfortable. You may not be broke. You may have the dream house or the dream car or the things that you want. So this may not necessarily relate to you. I'm talking about there's indications, there's things that happen in your life that let you know that like this ain't it. It's something that you couldn't do or desire to do that you couldn't do because of the current situation in your life, which is an indication that I'm not living the life I want to live. And sometimes it is loud, meaning you can see it, feel it, touch it, smell it. And sometimes it's subtle. And a lot of the times, if it's subtle, that means that you've gotten to a place in your life where you're being complacent. So I'm not going to go into the deep end about that, but I really want to pick up at, okay, if I kind of know that I'm not living the life that I want, then what do I do to get on the right path? If you want to know, just put me in the chat, right? If you want to know, put me in the chat. And then also let me say this too. Living your best life, your dream life, whatever life that you want to live is a thing that you have to revisit at various stages of life. So back in the day, when I was trying to quote unquote live a better life, the only thing that I had to know that I wasn't living the life that I wanted to live was I was broke. I couldn't afford shit. My bills were always not paid, or it's certain bills that couldn't get paid. Does that make sense? And so during that time when I was broke, I didn't and let me say this too, because sometimes it may not be as simple as like I was broke. When I say broke, there was things that I couldn't do because of the amount of money I was making, right? It was like, I'm not even making enough money to go travel. I'm not even making enough money to fly first class. I'm not even making enough money to live in a nice hotel when I travel out of town. I'm not even making enough money to buy this program I want to invest in. I'm not even making enough money to pay my rent every single month. Like for me, that's how clear it was for me. Audria, you're broke because you can't do XYZ. Now, for some of you all, I don't want you all to kind of I don't want you all to like share what that thing is for you, but a lot of you all have a very crystal clear picture of what it is for you. If you do, just put yes in the chat, right? If you have already identified the thing that's crystal clear to you that you want no more, and you know for a fact that it's hindering the life that you want, just put yes in the chat. You do not have to tell me. Matter of fact, I don't want to know. What I want to know more than anything is, are you clear on what that thing is? And so for me, back in the day, it was being broke. I hated being broke. I hated not being able to afford things. And let me also say this too, because I think this is important to mention. I knew I was making money, and this is going to probably sound super simple to some of y'all. You're going to be like, what? That was it? This is going to sound super simple for some of you all. But I knew I wasn't broke anymore when I could pay my bills and not have to think about nothing else. I knew I wasn't broke anymore when we could buy furniture for our entire home. I knew we wasn't broke anymore when I didn't have to put furniture on a payment plan. Okay? When we could just go into a furniture store and just buy it. I knew I wasn't broke anymore when I could go to the Apple store and get the highest level tricked out Apple computer. These were just benchmarks for me because prior to being broke, right? When I was prior to having money, when I was broke, I couldn't do any of that. I always had to put furniture on payment plans. I was always late on my rent. I was always trying to get extensions. I was never on time. It doesn't make sense what I'm saying. So whatever the thing is, it's the opposite of that. So as I was going through all of these different things, the things that was the most important to me and is the other thing was I wanted to be able to go to the store and shop in the front and not have to shop in clearance. Does that make sense what I'm saying, y'all? Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Like, have you ever went, and I'm more so maybe speaking more so to the ladies right now, but like, have you ever had a moment where you wanted to go into the store and you did not want to flip the tag to see how much it costs? That's how I knew that I was making money. If the first thing I had to do was go into the store, flip the tag, and be like, let me go shop in clearance. Let me also say this. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Let me just say that because some of y'all like this is first world problems. Look, I get it. But I also believe that we should define what we want in life. For me, I wanted to be able to go into a store, not have to look at the price tag and get what the hell I wanted to get. Does that make sense? For me, that's what success looked like for me. I wanted to be able to go in Target and not have buyer's remorse when I go home because I spent too much. I saw too many cute things at Target. You know what I mean? Like for me, that's what it meant to me to be quote unquote successful. So I want to talk about how did I go from barely being able to pay my rent, barely being able to afford the things I wanted to do, barely being able to shop how I wanted to shop, barely being able to travel how I wanted to travel. How did I go from that to where we are now, right? And let's be clear, I'm actually in a stage of my life where I'm dreaming up the next version of my life. And it's going to be more luxurious, way better, more than I can even imagine. Like I'm at a level in my head where I can, oh, this is going to be good. Oh, I can feel it. I can feel it. There was a point in my life where I couldn't even imagine having a mansion or dream home or a home with multiple bedrooms. There was a time in my life when I didn't even think that I was deserving of buying a house, right? I thought I only had it to live in apartments. And I'm saying this to you because I know I'm not the only one who has experienced this. I'm just being honest about what that was for me. Like when I was like broke, I only thought that I was worthy of apartment life. I thought I was only worthy of, tote the note type cars. You know what I mean? There were certain living standards that, if I was able to get a better tote the note car, I was living my best life. If I was able to get a better apartment, I was living my best life. If you even mentioned buying a home, it was offensive to me. I remember when me and Calvin started dating, and he would talk about like he had vision boards of like these huge homes and huge mansions, and I would always be like, why you want a mansion? We don't need a house. Like this apartment is fine, right? But that's where my mindset was at the time, right? And then once I graduated from being broke and not necessarily having to worry about day-to-day living, if you will, then I started to be like, okay, you know what? I don't want an apartment anymore. I started being around people and friends and millionaires and people I respect who were building homes from the ground up or who was acquiring homes or people who had more than one home or two homes. Whole different world. And because I wasn't privy to it or because I wasn't exposed to it, I didn't believe that that could be true for me. And I'm being honest with you all because I feel like that this is going to help somebody. Is this helpful, me sharing this with you? Just put yes in the chat if this resonates with you. All right. If this is helpful, just put yes in the chat because I want to make sure that this is helpful and useful as I continue to tell you this. All right. Okay. So the other thing that I would say as I was experiencing this and going through this, Now I'm at a stage in my life where I'm dreaming a bigger dream, right? I'm learning how to dream again. I no longer have the dream of I don't want to be broke anymore. That's no longer an achievement. I've already surpassed that. What I'm dreaming of now is how can I live a life more abundantly? How can I have more in my life? How can I not only have one home, but two homes? You If you would have said to me, 10 years ago, Audria, one day you're going to desire two homes. You're going to want a home in Memphis. You're going to want a home in Georgia. You're going to want a vacation home. I would have laughed you up under the table because I wasn't thinking like that, right? I was thinking, how the hell do I not be broke anymore? That was the only thing I thought about. How can I not be broke anymore? That was the only driving force in my life. And so when you get to a point where being broke is no longer the thing, then what else do it becomes? Right? Like, so, okay, well, I'm not broke anymore. So can I dream a bigger dream? What does that look like? What would be required of me to get to that level? So I just want to share that because I want you all to know that I relate. Because a lot of times y'all see people online and you be like, I can't relate to you. You don't understand what I'm going through. My husband don't support my business. Da 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 da. Like, look, okay, at the end of the day, we all have our own problems that ain't got nothing to do with nobody. But at the end of the day, if you want something more, if you want a better life, you have to push forward. So once I got to this place where I was like, all right, cool, I want more. I want more, right? I don't want to be broke anymore. What does that look like? Well, if you want to make more money, you have to be clear around like, well, how am I currently making money? At the time, I was making money from doing photo shoots, selling juices, um, out of a kitchen that we was renting. And I was also taking outside of taking pictures, I was doing graphic design. So graphic design, photo taking, selling juices. Doing all of those things still didn't bring in enough money to not be broke. So I realized that like it's something I don't know. There's literally a education gap, right? I'm like, there's clearly something that I don't know. And that's the thing that I need to focus on. Well, what do I don't know? Well, I do know that I'm really good at coming up with ideas, but I'm not good at learning how to make money. Does it make sense? Like, I'm really good at coming up with ideas. But I don't know how to make these ideas make money. And so learning how to monetize my ideas and learning how to monetize my gifts became the driving force. Well, what is it that I don't know? Well, the gap for me was marketing. I didn't know how to properly market my products and services. I did not know how to properly position my products and services. I did not know how to properly articulate my value. I did not know how to properly articulate what I sell. Does this make sense for some of you all? Are any of you all are like, oh shit, that's me, right? So if that is you, you realize like, dang, I need to get clear on what I sell. So I never had that problem of like what I'm gonna sell, right? So because I just told you I had a bunch of ideas, never had bad ideas. So I'm pretty good on ideating. I don't know, maybe that's a God's gift. But the thing for me that I was struggling with was I didn't know how to articulate the thing I was selling. I didn't know how to position the thing I was selling. I didn't know how to price the thing I was selling. I didn't know how to tell people how to come and get the thing, and I didn't know how to sell my thing on repeat. That's another thing. You could probably sell your product one time, but do you have a system for selling your thing over and over and over and over? So for me, I realized that like I don't have an idea problem, but all these other problems is the reason why I'm still broke. How is it that you have this banging idea, this banging thing you want to do, but for the life of you, it cannot help you pay your bills? This doesn't make sense to me. So I decided early on that, you know what, I want to charge more money. I want to reposition myself, so on and so forth, right? So in 2000 and what are we in 2024? So in 2014, I decided to start building my personal brand. I went online and I purchased AudriaRichmond.com, right? And I began to build out my brand identity. When I first got it started online, I was doing a lot of one-on-one work. Then I transitioned into doing group work. Then I started selling like one-off digital products, so on and so forth, till we got to where we are now. And so I feel like To live a good life, to live the life you want to live, you got to get uncomfortable. You got to get uncomfortable. And what do I mean by you got to get uncomfortable? Y'all, I went from being a girl who didn't want to read, could care less about reading a book, to averaging about 5 books to 10 books every 60 days that I'm like burning through, right? I just finished like 2 books. And I've learned that like everything I want to know is in a course or a program. So I got cool with investing in programs. I'm currently in a program now that is blowing my mind. I'm not going to disclose the program, okay, because I'm not an affiliate. And I'm still getting my value first before I want to share it with you all. But what I'm saying is this program is exactly what I needed at this time, at this moment. And so the beauty in this program is that I'm getting the clarity I need to kind of revisit what I want for the next level of my life. And so the reason that I'm bringing this out to your all's attention is because it's something that you don't know that's keeping you from living the life you want to live. So if you say I want a dream house, but you know you're with the dream house you want to get, you're not making enough money to get the dream house, then what's the problem you need to fix? Right? What's the problem you need to fix? The problem you need to fix is I don't know how to make enough money to afford my dream house. Does this make sense, everybody? Like when you could begin to see what do I want in life, and then what is the reason why I can't get it? And if it's not mindset and it's something tactical that you can do, then what does that look like? Right? So for instance, right now, me and my husband, we want a home. We want like a really, really big home. We don't want any home, but we want a big home. We will both be first time home buyers, and we're actually like reading information around what it looks like to be a first time home buyer. I'm talking to my accountant around like how much money do we need to have? How much debt need to be paid off? What kind of moves do we need to make? What type of employees do we need? Does that make sense? Like what kind of moves do we need to make? Because one thing I want to do is when I go to buy my dream home, I don't want to be thinking about furniture. I don't want to piecemeal my home. As soon as I move in, I want to have my interior designer hired. I want to have our furniture budget already set up. I want to make sure that I'm thinking about who's going to be our home cleaner. I want the full shebang. I'm not going to get out of one vehicle into another vehicle still struggling. Does that make sense? Now, that's one thing that I have learned, that I'm not going to get out of one struggling vehicle to get into another struggling vehicle. When I really could have set my ass down and had the best vehicle from the jump if I would have sat down and got prepared. And when I look at the reason why some people don't have what they want, it's because they're not prepared. You're not sitting down to do the work. You're not sitting down to read the books. You're not sitting down to go through the courses. Or if you are in the courses, you skipping around. I'm in a program now where every module is about 5 to 6 hours. 5 to 6 hours, every module. We're talking about 50 to 100 hours worth of content that I need to consume in order to understand what I'm learning. And some people will say, I don't got time for no long ass course. How do you all feel like that? Like, oh, I don't have time for a long course. I don't have time to read a book. You know what blows me? Is that there's a person on TikTok, I can't recall her name, but she's telling a 50-something part series about how she got screwed over from some guy. Okay. And I'm on social media and everybody is just they taking pride in finishing it, right? Like, oh, I finished it. Like it's a Netflix series or something. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you got time to do that, but you don't want to sit through a 90-minute course? This is blowing me. Like, you mean to tell me you had time, okay, to binge watch, and no telling how long it is. You had time to do that, but you didn't have time to sit in that to read this 3-hour book. Okay. I ain't throwing shade. I'm just saying priorities. That's what I'm saying. And I'm not saying you can't have fun. Priorities. It blew me because I'm just like, some of you all cannot afford to be watching a 52-part lifetime series of somebody's life when your life ain't what you want it to be. Does this make sense what I'm saying? Man, I'm about to flip this desk because I done got heated. I done got heated. You know, like, you want a better life. You got tired of watching somebody else 52-part life series when you ain't got the life you want. Ain't no way. And I'm gonna be honest. I started on it. Ain't even gonna hold you. I started on the series and I got to about maybe 5 parts in, and I said, this shit is a waste of my time. Literally, that's what I told myself. Because, you know, I was trying to, as a marketer, you want to see what people are into. You want to be tapped in and so on and so forth. And I started on the series and I was just like, I ain't got that kind of time, Jack. Like, I could be watching this course I just bought. I could be reading the book that I just started on. Like, this other shit that I could do with my time than to finish this series. And so I'm saying all that to say that if you want a better life, your behavior has to change. Your moves have to change. How you make your investments has to change. How you show up has to change. All of those things have to, basically, the root and the summary of this all is that you have to change. Your heart has to change. How you see things have to change. And if I had to contribute one thing, okay, if I had to contribute one thing for why I have a better life, hands down, it would be education. I know that's not super sexy. And when I say education, let me kind of group that up. So when I say education, it's books, courses, programs, events, intensives, masterminds. The reason I have the life I have now is, in summary, is education. And so when I log into my course platforms and I look at people's progress bars and it says 0, 0, 0, 0, and it's the same people who say, I can't be a part of this program because it's too much. What's too much if you never started? What's too much if you never come to the calls and ask questions? What's too much if you don't come in the Facebook group and ask questions? Yes, I'm stepping on some toes, but I need you to be made aware that your life ain't going to magically change because you made the investment. Your life is going to change when you show up for the thing that you invested in and immerse yourself in it. It's one thing to buy it, right? Like, I got a bunch of shit on my desk right now I didn't bought. But am I actively using it? Am I actively immersing in it? And people are quick to say something don't work when they are literally the input that's required for it to work. You know, you'll never hear me say, this thing didn't work for me. What didn't work? Was it me or the thing? Now, sometimes it's the thing, but like, out of 100%, 10% of the time it's the thing. 90% of the time it is your ass. Whether you want to agree with it or not, whether you want to be honest with yourself or not, but the truth of the matter is, like, take a real honest assessment. That course I bought, did I actually log in and listen to it? That audiobook I bought, did I actually finish it? That book I bought, did I actually start reading it and getting what I need? That coach I just invested in, do I actually show up and ask questions and lean in and get the support I need? That's the stuff you want to be asking yourself. That is how you get change. That's how you get on the other side of what it is that you want. So anyway, I said all that to say that if you want a better life, change has to be the driving force. And what you change, 9 times out of 10, you're going to have to probably change 90% of what you're currently doing in order to get what you want. Because prior to me becoming a learning snob, if you will, just love learning, I was that girl who made time to be social all the time. And, I went to parties with friends, and I used to be the girl that was clubbing all the time. And I made time for those types of things, but that shit didn't bring nothing into my life. It didn't bring a goddamn thing into my life. And so I'm saying all that to say that I really want you all to change up your behaviors this year. I want you to lean into the thing that you absolutely is avoiding, because 9 times out of 10, that's the thing that's going to drive the next change you need in your life. So, anywho, I really do hope that this was useful for you and that you found value in what we're talking about today. And so until next time, y'all, let's go live an uncloned life and build an uncloned brand. Bye, y'all.